Hey there, my name is Joseph May. Hopefully, I'll continue making these little short YouTube videos. I want to talk about real estate, talk about life, talk about the processes, things that people might have questions about or don't understand. I will start with how I got into it about 6, 7 years ago when I was living in Dallas, Texas. I was working in medical and was really focused on I need to stop paying 1,400, $1,500 in rent and buy a house so that I can have that equity and build life goals versus living carefree and not really saving or worrying about what will happen in the future. And when I first moved there, it was cheap. Everything was cheap. You could buy a 2,500 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2 bath home for less than $100,000. But because of my irresponsibility of handling credit in my 20s, at that point in my life, I was not ready or established to be able to purchase a home. It's all about timing. Everybody, has different times in life when things happen. At that time, it wasn't my time. So it took me a couple years to get my credit where it needed to be. And by the time I got my credit where it needed to be, the market was so insane in Texas. I could barely afford a 1 bedroom condo that had foundation issues. And yeah, I was like, I'm not going to do that. So at that same time, there was some family stuff that went on, and it basically made the decision that I needed to move back to Florida to be closer to family. And so in 2017, I went through the process of relocating back to Jacksonville. My grandparents lived in Palaca, which is an hour south. I grew up, and some of my other family, my sisters and such, are in Green Cove Springs, which is where I spent most of my childhood. And I knew I didn't want to live in either one of those places. And at the time, Duval was offering grant money, and I qualified for it. So I took advantage of it, moved to the area of Mandarin, which is in the south side section of Duval County, and took a job at a hospital in Orange Park. At that time, it was about a 12-minute drive. That was 5 years ago. If you know anything about Florida, the market has went nuts. Traffic now in Jacksonville is aggravating, to say the least. And it's probably like a 20-minute commute now. But I still love where I'm at. I'm in a very established area. There's plenty of everything you need right here. I mean, I literally live across the street from a Target, Publix, Chick-fil-A, Wingstop. Everything I need is at my fingertips, and I don't have to go to other parts of the town or of the city if I don't want to. Um, and yeah, it's a great area. It's very easy to get to everywhere else. I'm quarter-mile from the interstate, so it's literally, 5 minutes to jump on the loop and go wherever I need to go. But the only downside to Mandarin is it is a more age demographic, so everything closes early. So you got to make sure you got what you need before it gets too late at night. But in the process, I knew what I was looking for. And at that time in my life, I was very used to condo living, apartment living, no responsibility. Even at one point, I did live in a house in Texas, but it was super tiny yard. It literally took 10 minutes to mow. So I knew I wanted something low maintenance, which is what swayed my choice to really move into a townhome type setup so that I don't have the outside maintenance. But in the process, my mom referred me to a realtor. I did a ton of research. I literally sent her a list of 10 homes I wanted to see. And I intentionally told her that I wanted this house to be the last house because my number 10 choice is the one that I currently live in. I knew from the start it was at the very tip top of my budget, and the HOA was a little bit higher than some of the others. But I stuck to my guns and knew this is what I wanted, and I knew in my head what my price point was. I directed my agent, this is what I want to do. She, submitted my offer, and the lady accepted, and everything worked out. And back then, there was a lot more negotiating that happened, which is what we're starting to see now. Since the interest rates have risen, obviously the real estate market has cooled off. Jacksonville is still growing and changing daily. A lot of stuff is happening downtown. There's a lot of projects being approved. Obviously, Jaguars got put into the playoffs. We just won our game on Saturday. So, even though it shouldn't, football does make a big difference for a city. And hopefully they do make it all the way. I mean, I would love to see them win a Super Bowl. I remember in the 90s when we got the Jaguars here in Jacksonville. It would be a great experience, full circle for me. And it would definitely generate a lot of revenue for the city. Through my process, I fell in love with real estate, period. I was still working in medical for the first couple years. I tried a few other options because I was getting a little burnt out. And 2 years ago, I got my license. And the first year, I was still like using the hospital as a crutch. I was working part-time and not really focused on real estate, and did some training. It was also COVID, so it was hard to learn from agents in general, just because the COVID restrictions at that time, and everything was Zoom. I don't mind Zoom training if I don't want to leave my house, but like not having that hands-on social interaction, like, probably was a little bit of a hindrance to me in the first 6 or 8 months. First year, closed 2 deals. They were literally 2 deals that fell in my lap. Like, one literally was standing at my gate asking me if my place was for sale, and the other one was a nurse that I worked with at the hospital that was a traveler who decided to buy a house here. Actually, the neighbor, she actually became my neighbor. I found her place in my community, the first lady. So we're still friends. She normally comes to my Halloween parties. We see each other throughout the year here and there in the neighborhood. And then my other one, they have a pool house. We went and had little, pool days, whatever, drinking White Claw around the pool. And yeah, like, that's one of the things I love about real estate. I love building those relationships with my clients, because they might come to you for, this one specific thing. They're looking for a house, da 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 da. But me being me, I like to build that relationship. I like to get to know them. I like to know what they like to do. That way it helps me figure out a good side of town or good neighborhood that they're going to fit into well and love. And in that process, typically you build a friendship with them people, so that's basically what's happened. Like, I still communicate and talk to every single one of my clients, which, granted, even last year being my busiest year, it's not like I have 1,000 people to keep in contact with. I'm up to like 10, so I maybe not see them as often as I want, or spend as much time with them as often as I want, because it is what it is. And just like any other kind of friendship, like, you have the bonds that you have. And I enjoyed that. I invited several to my wedding. It was great. The ones that came, I love you. Most of them were, great wedding party additions besides my family. And yeah, everybody fit in well. And so that, I like that aspect. And then, I'm a little nerd at heart. I like architecture, and I was doing estate sales even when I lived in Texas, and I love seeing different houses. I love seeing how people have different houses laid out, like all the different possibilities all melded together, and seeing other people's aesthetics. I, like, obviously I like art. You can see it on my walls, so I collect, and I like to see what other people do with it. And in that process, it made me fall in love with real estate. And I love being able to see homes that I might not otherwise be able to see because I might have a client that'll buy it. And if it's a house that I feel attached to, hopefully it's a client that I like so that I can go back and see the house. I am a mid-century buff, so I love a good 50s, 60s style house. And, I've had two clients that have bought that style house. And I love to see it. I love to see what they do afterwards, because everybody has their own things, their own ideals of what a home should feel like. And watching your clients see it from the beginning to the end, like they see it when you first walk through it. And most of the time, everybody has stuff they're going to say they don't like, or that they wish was different, or, the paint on the wall, or the whatever it is. And then after they buy the house, and then going back through and seeing like what the important things were that they actually changed. Because after you move in, things like your life changes, so things might not be as prevalent. Like you might not need to rip the floor up because it's parquet and you want to have LVP, or it's the wrong wood tone and you want it to be something else. And then they move in and they realize that, well, actually everything works except the paint color or the drapes that were left up. Which, yeah, I get. Most people don't like the drapes from the 50s. A Valis is not in style anymore. Take it down. But yeah, it's cool to see their personality come out in the house once they're, good and moved in and have all their stuff in it, and they've created their home, which is what I like the most. Like you'll feel it just a little bit more because you knew what it looked like before, and now you know what it looks like after they've put their own spin on it. And most of the time they fell in love with it, and that's what makes my day. Sorry, my dog is going a little crazy. I don't know what just happened. But yeah, like that's why why I love it, because people are creatures of habit. So you can see like what their daily routines are like and how they make the house work with their routines. And I mean, mine's the same way. Like there are certain things that are always going to be in the same spot. There are certain things that I've done to make it easier to accommodate to my lifestyle. And yeah, like it fascinates me. So my goal this year is to really start posting on YouTube, which is a platform I've never really used or utilized. I'm recently, over the past maybe 2 months, have really been focusing on TikTok, which has been a fun change because other than that, most brokerages are not that tech savvy. So like it's Facebook, Instagram, which I've posted on Facebook every day for 2 years. I've run ads on Facebook. My question really for other fellow realtors and real estate brokers is, how do you really advertise like for your open houses? Like how do you build your client list? Because I've worked with different brokerages that provide leads. I've bought leads. I've ran my own ads on some platforms. I've ran my ads on Facebook. Like I have tried to do a mix of things to try to see what works and what doesn't for myself. And I would appreciate feedback from others, just to see like This weekend I did 3 open houses and it was a very low turnout. But what I can say is it was the first weekend of post holidays. There was a Jaguars game on Saturday, which I'm sure had a large effect on my Saturday business. Just because everybody that I know was downtown preparing for the game, tailgating, whatever they were doing, bar hopping probably. Um, which was my mistake because I scheduled them before everybody knew the game was happening. So, yeah, that would be a curiosity of mine, and would love feedback. Comment below if you have anything for me on that, because I'm always willing to listen and learn from other agents. I love working with especially like experienced 20, 30 years in the biz type agents, just because every single one of them that I've worked with has given me one tip, like one little hint, like try doing this. The most recent was setting up a Google account. I set up a Google business page, so now I have 2 reviews. Hopefully I can build up a few more from my past clients. It's so difficult to get them to make a review when it's been a little while. But yeah, so hopefully that'll help, because he basically told me after about 5 or 6 good reviews, like, you'll start getting Google leads, which are free, and you don't have to pay the ad fees for it. But yeah, I would like to know what y'all do. How do you like your open houses? Like, what time frames do you feel like work best? Just little feedback like that, just to either A, test myself, or B, lead me in the right direction. Until next time, thank you.